Tigers are mauling the Astros again today. Detroit 7, Houston 2. That game is now in the top of the ninth. The Phillies over the Mariners 8-2 in the top of the eighth inning in the city of brotherly love. All right, with any further ado, let's check in with Ben Axelrod. He does a great job. AwfulAnnouncing.com. He is the senior editor and kind enough to join us here on this Wednesday afternoon. Benny Axelrod, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Sam.
You bet. Appreciate you coming on here today. You know, I was telling the audience, I like to get you on. It just kind of works out. It's like every 6 or 7 weeks, and there's always a ton of stuff that we get to talk about, and whether it's on the field or negotiations for contracts or, you know, companies buying up other companies, it's kind of worked out. And I kind of want to start here, and this is just a couple of minutes before the Guardians get going, but I'm sure you have noticed, and I'm just going to ask you because I trust your judgment here for answers. I have watched, a lot of Guardians games over the years, and I've watched a lot this year. There seems to me that 35 to 40% of the time, they have not been able to fill their commercial inventory during the telecast, and they're just putting up like screens and continuously running promos because they're not getting the revenue. Am I seeing things here? Or if that is the case, how much of a problem is that right now?
Yeah, that's something I have noticed as well. It's not something I've had the opportunity to look into, but I think a lot of the TV stuff just with the Guardians in general has been pretty strange over the course of the last few years with everything going on with the RSNs, and then ultimately, MLB taking over the rights, and then the Guardians kicking off their own streaming service, but also having the games available on most cable providers up here. I know I have Spectrum. I get them on Spectrum up here. And, but they didn't announce it until I think like hours before first pitch of literally the first game of the season. So it's really just been a disjointed effort. I think if you're following what's going on with the MLB at large in its rights, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case in other markets as well. The plan seems to be for MLB to take over as many of these rights as they can, and then hopefully sell them, probably to ESPN or some other streaming service as a part of their next media rights package. And you're already starting to see some of the reporting about what the next deal might look like in terms of the package that ESPN gave up for next season earlier this year. But yeah, it's definitely been strange. I don't know if it's necessarily unique to the Guardians, but definitely something worth monitoring because, this is obviously a league where revenue matters. And if you're just putting up a blank screen sometimes during commercial breaks, that's ultimately you're losing money more than you're making money.
Yeah, that was a little alarming to me because I'm like, okay, maybe this is just for a couple of games, or maybe a spot didn't get loaded or something. And the more that I watched, I thought, hey, wait a minute. I'm seeing this same screen with the waving flag and the Guardians across what is going on here? And then the more games that I watched, I noticed, I'm thinking, boy, they're a little short on inventory. That's a little bit alarming, especially for a quote unquote small market team. You mentioned the baseball negotiations with the new contracts. It appears to me that Apple is trying to get out, and then there looks like there's some major players that are going to be involved here, and it looks like ESPN might be trying to get back in. What's the latest on, do you think, the baseball contracts and what MLB wants to do there as far as streaming services and the big networks going forward?
Yeah, so all of this stems from earlier this year. ESPN opted out of the rest of its deal. They had a mutual option. ESPN pulled the trigger, decided to opt out. So this is going to be ESPN's last year with MLB rights unless they reach a new deal. So they had obviously Sunday Night Football. They have a weekday showcase. They have the Home Run Derby. They have the Wild Card Series, or at least a portion of the Wild Card Series. And so all of those rights are currently being negotiated. It came out yesterday via Kendall Baker at Yahoo. The firmest reporting he has is that Netflix is getting the Home Run Derby, and then there's going to be a part of the deal where ESPN gets the rights to MLB TV. That's not the same as MLB Network, but it seems like the local rights would be involved in that. And then the other part, which these are rights that weren't expected to be up, but if, MLB is negotiating, it would make sense for them to evaluate all of their deals. And this Apple deal for these Friday night games, I don't think they've necessarily worked out for either side.
No.
Nobody's really watching these games. Apple is paying a ton of money for these games that just nobody's watching. And so this was the part of the deal that Kendall Baker said that he didn't have confirmed fully yet. But it would be basically that the Friday night package and then a portion of it sounds like the Sunday night package would be going to NBC. So that would obviously be pretty big in terms of NBC. Then would have, I think they'd have Sunday night football, they'd have Sunday night basketball, and they'd have Sunday night baseball. So
yeah,
NBC would kind of be your one-stop shop for Sunday night sporting events throughout the calendar year. But that part has not been confirmed yet. But yeah, it seems like this deal is starting to really take shape now.
That is interesting. Boy, just when you thought NBC was kind of like just going to roll over not that long ago, Ben, and now they got all the big boys. They're really making a push. That was my next question. I saw it might have been on Awful Announcing that there was a big picture of Adam Silver, and they want to do a coast to coast night during the regular season now, and they want to start those West Coast games at 11 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know. I don't know how smart of an idea that is, but it's something that they want to brand with that NBA coast to coast. How do you think that's going to work out? What's the reception going to be?
Yeah, that one kind of threw me for a loop because one of my theories on why these NBA ratings have been down, I don't think this is the whole part of it, but I do think it is at least a significant part of it would be that it kind of coincided with LeBron James going from the Cavs to the Lakers. And you think about, the Lakers are the marquee franchise. They're effectively the Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA, but they also play on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Their games typically tip off at 10:30 at night, even when they're on prime time. And so I think that's, I think in a league that is star driven, I think it was probably advantageous for all those years where LeBron was playing in Cleveland or Miami to have his games kicking off at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time, so long as his team was at home or on the East Coast. And so I'm surprised. I was surprised to learn that. I guess I do see the appeal of at least you're kind of eventizing your schedule, and I could see it being a situation where it does become a thing and fans do get excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously wouldn't be every night, but I would think if anything you would want to kind of take this thing the other way and find a way to get some of these West Coast stars featured on East Coast time a little more frequently.
They must be banking on the regulars at the bar at 1 a.m. to watch these games, because I don't know who on the East Coast is going to be up at 1:30 a.m, but you never know. If the game's good, people will stay up and they will watch it. Ben Axelrod is our guest, senior editor at Awful Announcing, stopping by the Sam Bourquin Show today, 1310 WDPN. So speaking of the NBA, the Cavs, about 10 days ago or so, their schedule was released, and they're going to be on national TV platforms 24 times, I believe. A little bit of Peacock, a little bit of ABC, NBC, and so forth. That's a pretty good number for the Cavaliers, considering how they kind of flamed out at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, I mean, they are, just look at the schedule, look at the amount of games. I think they are, I think they're the first game that's going to be Peacock exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
First Peacock doubleheader. It's going to be them at Detroit playing the Pistons, and so that's a pretty marquee spot for it to be. A new part. It's going to be a regular Monday night Peacock exclusive game, and the Cavs are going to be featured in the very first one. I mean, they are one of the NBA's marquee teams right now. They have a totally recognizable star in Donovan Mitchell. They have young players like Evan Mobley and Darius Garland still, and they are a young team. They're a good team, and they have recognizable stars. And so that's what you're, like I said, I don't think, the NBA, it's been years since they've really depended on market size. I really think this is a league built on stars and built on individual stars. And so the fact that they are playing, more than 20 times, when there have been seasons where, they didn't, right after LeBron left, I don't think they had a single nationally televised game for a handful of years. So to be back in that position, to be, I would imagine, within the top 6 or 7 teams in terms of nationally televised games. I think that speaks well about where this franchise is and where it's perceived in the pecking order of the NBA for the foreseeable future.
Ben Axelrod is our guest at Awful Announcing. I want to circle back to the baseball deal a little bit. And you mentioned about Netflix possibly grabbing the home run derby. We've seen Netflix now dabble in the NFL. Now it looks like Major League Baseball. What's the long-term goal, Ben, for Netflix? And when I mean long-term, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what are they trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, they view themselves as the future of media, and based on their viewership numbers and based on their number of subscribers, they certainly, they have reason to think that. I mean, they are, when you go to Netflix, you are getting global reach that you aren't really getting with any other platform at this point. In terms of sports, that's kind of been a little bit more of a mystery because they have kind of played it coy. They've kind of picked their spots. They're really big into events, and so they'll do the Christmas doubleheader for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do. It sounds like they'll be doing home run derby. They'll do some boxing. They do WWE. Globally, they do everything for WWE, but here in the U.S., they only do Monday Night Raw. But by the same token, a lot of people expected the UFC deal to wind up with Netflix, and it wound up going to Paramount. They haven't become more active in the NFL beyond that Christmas Day doubleheader. They aren't a part of this NBA package, and so I think the big thing is this NFL deal. I think it expires, or there's an opt out that everybody expects the NFL to take after the 2029 season. I think that's kind of when we'll see Netflix show its cards and show its hand as far as what's it want to do. Does it want to have a bigger piece of the package? Does it want to have Monday Night Football? Does it want to have Sunday Night Football? Does it want to have a regular part of the Sunday slate? Or do they just want to stick to events and just have one day each year where they kind of rule the calendar? But they're involved in all these talks moving forward. And I think anytime we talk about sports rights that become available, whether it's WWE to the NFL and everything in between, Netflix is going to be a part of that conversation for the foreseeable future.
You know, it's been a while since we did chat. I did want to ask you about I still can't believe the $7.7 billion deal UFC struck with Paramount and CBS. Did that catch you by surprise at all? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's not only that, but to do it in a way that's going to effectively eliminate the pay-per-view model for UFC and probably for the platform in general is a big deal. But by the same token, WWE and UFC, who are both owned by the same company, TKO, they are very well positioned in the streaming era because they each do something really unique, and that's they have one must-see event a month. And those events are very appealing to streamers because, look, I'm not even the biggest UFC fan.
Well, I'm not either.
I will subscribe. I watch it enough that I will subscribe to Paramount at that price to get the monthly pay-per-view, and I'm not going to cancel my subscription. So Paramount has me as a customer now, somebody who's not even a diehard UFC fan, for the rest of this deal, and that's what they're banking on. And so I think it's called churn rate, where like Paramount Plus right now, they have a handful of sporting events that I can kind of pick and choose what months I subscribe to them. That's not going to be the case moving forward, and it's the same with ESPN. Obviously, I'm always going to subscribe to ESPN, but them getting the WWE pay-per-view rights, if a WWE fan needs to subscribe to their streaming service to get those rights, they're doing it now on a monthly basis. So both of these companies that are owned under the same company are very uniquely positioned, even if they aren't, two of the biggest 5 sports in the U.S. market. It's more their model that's appealing than anything else.
I see Awful Announcing tweeting out a little bit ago about Phil Simms is jumping back into the play-by-play booth with NBC. He's going to do some college games, it looks like. Peacock. Was this a surprise to anybody that Phil was jumping back into the broadcast game? Oh, I don't know if we lost Ben or not. Ben, are you still with us? I think we lost him. I heard a little tick, tick, tick. And then I heard nothing.
Yeah, I heard that too, Sam.
I can hear Benny. You still with us? I think he was in his car. I can hear the car. I think I can hear the car, but I don't hear Ben. So I think we lost contact with him.
Hello?
Hey, Ben, you still there? Yeah, I think we got a miss. Yep, now we lost him. All right, not sure what happened there, but thanks to Ben Axelrod from awfulannouncing.com for joining us here on the Sam Bourquin Show.